Peace, peace, peace. Let's give all respects to the Creator. Amun, gods and goddesses. This is Chocolate Amun Ra, and this is part 2 on classes. And the class of the documents is basically on. This is about the sun and who we are, where we come from the sun. But this is all come from the documentary of Mentellect. I use this because I love their work, and I want y'all to study it. Get your pencil and papers, brothers and sisters. Oh, I did say I wasn't going to say that anymore. Look at that. It's supposed to catch me. Gods and goddesses. Put that into your intellect. Who you are. Gods and goddesses. We need to continue on putting that out. Why are you afraid to say that? Why are you scared to say you're a God on this earth? Because men and women of the melanin race have done some wonderful, outstanding things over the century. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. Trust me when I tell you that. They have done wonderful things. Now you could come out of slavery. So many different slaveries. Let's put that in it. Because if we ain't gonna tell the truth, don't make no sense telling it. Because on my page, we gonna keep it real. We don't need to talk, don't make no sense, to have no discussion at all. But we came out of slavery in different stages. First slavery started from, according to the stories, according to documents, it was the Egyptians was really the Kemetic. They had slaves, which was the Hebrew slaves, right? Then from that point on, slaves has spread out throughout the world from different people. You had the Arabs who also had slaves, black slaves. Arabs had black African slaves over 1,000 years. Remember I told you, write things down. Right, so now 1,000 years Arabs had African slaves. Okay? Is slavery going on to this day? Yes. But before we get into that, you had the Dutchess who came, and African people, 13 nations helped the slave trade because it was big business. Now, I'm only saying that for you to get a better understanding. Because this is not what the class is about. It's about the sun. It's about the sun.
Souls are a community which makes up the sun planet or the solar planet. That's
so
planet or the solar planet. That's what the sun is. That's the origin of the sun. There's all the past solar systems and the past beings or the solar beings that were in the last world who have made it to this one. And that's state of perfection.
The truth of origin and purpose of the sun. Intellect, Nubian, Unicolors. Pay attention. Get your pencil and papers.
Your souls are the origin of the sun. Our people were not here on the planet. You know, we were on other planets and other realms. And those realms and planets faded out. And as a result, a community was formed to bring life to a new planet, right? A new group of planets. So your sun became necessary, and all the souls or the solar beings that couldn't make it over into this realm went into the communal sun or the planetary sun, because the sun is a planet and it has life on it. The sun houses solar life, an Amun force, an omni beings, right? Those people who don't have water as a makeup in their body. They say energy can't be destroyed. So if energy can't be destroyed, it can't be made. It just is. It exists. Right?
Excuse me.
That energy that makes up the sun, that solar power, has to come from someplace else. We house a solar plex in our bodies. Right? Now, the light that moves through your body, the light that gives you energy or power, that links you to that solar energy or that solar intelligence from the sun, that plugs you into that gives you a charge when the sun is up. That light is linked to your solar energy, your solar plex, to power you forward. Now, when you pass off of the scene, where does that light go? Where does that soul go? Energy or anything is going to return from where it came. Right? It's going to return from where it came or where it's sent to go. So if you're solar beings, it makes sense that your soul would go back to a power source or something that it recognizes, another solar force, right? Where you are recognized at. Reason why I said that ancestral worship of the sun is ancestral worship, because the souls of your ancestors are in the sun. They're in the sun. They're in the light. What do they say when they pass off the thing? I'm walking into the light. What is that light that they're walking into? What is that fire? What is that light? It's a planet. Your sun is a planet, right? Our ancestors' souls go into the sun. As a community, sending energy, sending light, sending power to this planet. The whole point of the sun being utilized to send messages, send power, send energy to this planet, right? More than just sitting up there heating the planet, it's being used to send messages. The light is being used to send messages, send intelligence, aim it someplace, cause things to grow here, right? So it is a living entity. Just as the sun has a magnetic pull to a magnetic field, the moon also has a magnetic pull to pull human beings toward it, which is why they base everything on romance and things like that, and the romanticizing of the moon. And what do we tend to do as black people? We tend to worship the sun or be connected to the sun in some kind of way, whether it was in ancient Egypt, Sumeria, things like that. The plasma in your blood resembles the same plasma that's interwoven in the sun. The sun was put in its orbit or put in its place in the center of the solar system to give life to all of these worlds, to cause rotations around them. The planet, to cause the planets to rotate. There's electricity in the sun. The light, or the sun's light going through the planet, is actually where your electrical current is coming from. The light is where the current comes from. We as solar beings, as the sun is starting to become hotter, the pulsation is starting to kick up, we're supposed to start being able to levitate and hover. It's bringing us closer to it. It wasn't that our people, when you see our people worshiping, they said they was worshiping the sun. It wasn't that they was worshiping the sun. I dare to say that they understood that the souls of our people went there. Anything, or for a planet, for anything to be perfectly round, that means it's a planet. It's a planet. Anything that's perfectly rounded means someone lives on it. It's well-rounded for a reason. It's not flat, it's not straight out, it's perfectly round. It's like any other planet. right? Just like you have certain planets that are not livable because it might not have enough water, or it might have too much of this going on there, might have too much of that. They say that for the human being, the planet is not livable. The sun would not be livable for the human being. But for the Amun being, for the Omni being, the solar being, it's livable. Right? Different type, totally different type of life form. Totally different type of people on this planet. It is that form of nuclear energy. The sun runs on nuclear energy. Right? Runs on hydrogen, all that. It's nuclear energy. From the nucleus of a body, or a body of people. Right? A prime people. Right? Same way the sun is going through an evolution. We're going through one with it as well. We're supposed to be in tune with it. That's the ancestral connection right now. Right? The solar ancestral connection. Right? And also the line of ascension.
Now, understand where you come from, why your ancient ancestors study the sun. Understand why your ancestors study the sun. Because it's a life force. Our deities, the energy that's in us, the whole of flesh, is a life force. Explain it. The narrator explained it to you clearly. I want you to be able to understand where you come from. I also want you to understand why they don't want you to get this type of knowledge. Think about it. You don't find this in school. This information is not told to you in school. Now, is it? Am I lying? When they talk about the moon and the solar systems, and they talk about the sun, there's no regulation about the melanin people. And it's energy force that the soul goes back to the sun. It doesn't give you that type of information. It tells you the soul goes to what? Heaven. Where's heaven? Why we continue pointing up to heaven, but hell is below? Why is this? Who said this? Does the spirit or the deity travels through what? Listen, when the historians, the scholars, begin to interpret the ancient world, they could not identify or be able to understand the conception of what those people in those times was doing. They needed a guide. You just can't walk up to a language you ain't never heard of and all of a sudden you dissecting it. If you never heard it before, remember these scholars and historians, they write this information down. They get someone that can translate the words from that language, Sumerian, Babylonian, in Egypt, which is really Kemetic. So they can translate these words in language, and then they can take it and start to break it down. But you will not find this information here in your books, in your school books. They don't talk about that. They don't want you to know these things. They want you to live in fear. The sun that's in the solar system, it sends messages to you. When it's cold outside, this is so simple. When it's cold outside, what's the first thing you're going to do? You don't walk on the side where it's shaded. Most people are going to walk on the side where it's sun. Have you observed that? Most of y'all probably don't. I observe these things like this. When it is cold outside, pay attention how most people will walk on the side where the sun is at. They're not going to walk on the side where it's shaded, and if they do, it's just because it's a short walk to wherever destination they're going to. But if they can, and they will, walk to the side of the street where the sun is hitting the street and they see it. Why? And we are gravitated to that. Because you're gravitating for the heat, and it's pulled automatically. It tells you. Why, when it's hot outside, most people do what? They go totally the opposite. They want to walk on the side of the shade. Because the heat of the sun, the rays, its power, is a little too much. One big problem we do have now, 2017, when I'm finding out over the last few years, that black people don't even want to be in the heat no more. They got so comfortable with artificial cooling systems. It has now taken the place of the natural winds that can come through your window. So they got air conditioners to cool it down. But understand this is that air conditioner is good for your body? No, it's not. Most people do up here. Oh, I'm not going out because it's too hot. Literally, you're finding a lot of black people don't want to go outside when it's hot. You need to go outside. You need to absorb the energy that energizes you. Understand the conception. As the narrator told you about this information about the sun's power. I am Chocolate Amun Ra. This is part 2. And it is based on the true origin and the purpose of the sun. The true origin and the purpose of the sun. Mentellect. That's Mentellect channel, which is 144. I told you I'm in a whole new avenue. I've stated to you before, class is going to be totally different. It's time to shake y'all up. For real. And some of you so-called intellect people, you don't discuss none of these things with your peers. You don't do that. Well, I'm here to share this information. I'm Chocolate Amun Ra. This is part 2 of class I've started. And I stated to you before that, that instead of sitting down on TV watching church and all that stuff like that, I'm going to make sure that Sundays that we will be taught, and the majority of the information and the materials that I have shown you early that it is going to be exploited and used to educate, because a lot of you do not know this information. So this is part 2. Part 3 is coming up. We're doing the purpose of the sun. I'm Chocolate Amun Ra. Peace.